Sure. Cam and Death. Hello. Hello, hello. You've come to the end of the book. Where all the exciting stuff has already happened. I think. We'll have to see. But, yeah. It's just a lady now. Let's see if that's exciting and fun. Chapter 71. When the boat docked at Qingyan, Kitty, who had been standing on deck to look at the colored, gay, and vivacious traffic of the river, went into her cabin to see that the Amach had left nothing behind. She gave herself a look in the glass. She wore black. The nuns had dyed a dress for her, but not mourning, and the thought crossed her mind that the first thing she must do was to see to this. The habiliments of woe could not but serve as an effective disguise to her unexpected feelings. There was a knock at her cabin. The Amach opened it. Mrs. Fane. Kitty turned around and saw a face which at first moment she did not recognize. Then her heart gave a sudden quick beat, and she flushed. It was Dorothy Townsend. Kitty so little expected to see her that she knew neither what to do nor what to say. But Mrs. Townsend came into the cabin and with an impulsive gesture took Kitty in her arms. "Oh, my dear, I'm so dreadfully sorry for you." Kitty allowed herself to be kissed. She was a little surprised at this aloofness in a woman whom she had always thought cold and distant. "It's very kind of you," murmured Kitty. "Come on deck. The Amach will look after your things, and my boys are here." She took Kitty's hand, and Kitty, allowing herself to be led, noticed that her good-natured, weather-beaten face bore an expression of real concern. "Your boat's early. I really nearly didn't get down in time," said Mrs. Townsend. I couldn't have borne it if I'd missed you." "But you didn't come to meet me," exclaimed Kitty. "Of course I did. But how did you know I was coming?" "Mr. Waddington sent me a telegram." Kitty turned away. She had a lump in her throat. It was funny that a little unexpected kindness should so affect her. She did not want to cry. She wished Dorothy Townsend would go away. But Dorothy took the hand that was hanging by Kitty's side and pressed it. It embarrassed Kitty that this shy woman should be so demonstrative. "I want you to do me a great favor. Charlie and I want you to come and stay with us while you're in Qingyan." Kitty snatched her hand away. "It's awfully kind of you. I couldn't possibly. But you must. You cannot go and live all by yourself in your own house. It would be dreadful for you. I've prepared everything. You shall have your little sitting room. You can have your meals there if you don't care to have them with us. We both want you to come. I wasn't thinking of going to the house. I was going to get myself a room at the Ching Yen Hotel. I couldn't possibly put you to so much trouble. The suggestion had taken her by surprise. She was confused and vexed. If Charlie had had any sense of decency, he would have never allowed his wife to make the invitation. She did not wish to be under an obligation of neither of them. Oh, but I couldn't bear the idea of you living at a hotel. And you'd hate the Ching Yen Hotel just now, with all those people about and the band playing jazz all the time. People say you will come to us. Please come to us. I promise you that Charlie and I won't bother you. I don't know why you should be so kind to me. Kitty was getting a little short of excuses. She could not bring herself to utter a blunt and definitive no. I'm afraid I'm not very good company amongst strangers just now. But we need be strangers to you? Oh, I do want not to be. I so want you to allow me to be your friend. Dorothy clasped her hand, and her voice, her cool, deliberate, and distinguished voice, was tremulous with tears. I so awfully want you to come. You see, I want to make amends to you. Kitty did not understand. She did not know what amends Charlie's wife owed her. I'm afraid I didn't very much like you at first. I thought you rather fast. You see, I'm old-fashioned, and I suppose I am intolerant. Kitty gave her a passing glance. What she meant was that at first she had thought Kitty vulgar, though Kitty allowed no shadow of it to show on her face. In her heart she laughed. Much she cared for what anyone thought of her now. And when I heard that you'd gone with your husband into the jaws of death, without a moment's hesitation, I felt such a frightful cad. I felt so humiliated. You've been so wonderful. You've been so brave. You fucked my husband, really. You make all the rest of us look so dreadfully cheap and second-rate. Now the tears were pouring down her kind, homely face. I can't tell you how much I admire you, and what a respect I have for you. I know I cannot do anything to make up for your terrible loss, but I want you to know how deeply, how sincerely I feel for you. And if you will only allow me to do a little thing for you, it will be a privilege. Don't bear me a grudge because I misjudged you. You are heroic, and I am simply a silly fool of a woman. Kitty looked down at the deck. She was very pale. She wished that Dorothy would not show such uncontrollable emotion. She was touched. It was true, but she could not help a slight feeling of impatience that this simple creature should believe such lies. If you really mean that you'd like to have me, of course, I shall be glad to come. She sighed. Chapter 72. The Townsends lived on the Mound in a house with a wide view over the sea. Charlie did not, as a rule, come out to luncheon, but on the day of Kitty's arrival, Dorothy, they were Kitty and Dorothy to one another now, told her that if she felt up to see him, she would like to come and bid her welcome. Kitty reflected that since she must see him, She might just as well see him at once, and she looked forward with a grin of amusement to the embarrassment she must cause him. She saw very well that the invitation to stay had arisen in his wife's fancy, and notwithstanding his own feelings, he had immediately approved. Kitty knew how great his desire was always to do the right thing, and to offer her a gracious hospitality was obviously very much the right thing. But he could hardly remember the last interview of theirs without mortification. To a man so vain as Townsend, it must be galling like a ulcer that would not heal. She hoped that she had hurt him as much as he had hurt her. He must hate her now. She was glad to think that she did not hate, but only despised him. Ah, the good old Christian despise. The Christian sentiment of despising. Not hate, but the pure, warm despisement. It gave her a sardonic satisfaction to reflect that whatever his feelings, he would be obliged to make much of her. When she left his office that afternoon, he must have hoped that with all his heart that he would never set eyes on her again. And now, sitting with Dorothy, she waited for him to come in. She was conscious of her delight in the sober luxury of the drawing-room. She sat in an armchair. There were lovely flowers here and there. On the walls were pleasant pictures. The room was shaded and cool. It was friendly and home-like. She remembered with a faint shudder the bare and empty parlour of the missionary's bungalow, the rattan chairs and the kitchen table with its cotton cloth, the stained shelves with all those cheap editions of novels, and the little skimpy red curtains that had such a dusty look. Oh, it had been so uncomfortable. She supposed that Dorothy had never thought of that. They heard a motor drive up, and Charlie strode into the room. "Am I late? I hope I haven't kept you waiting. I had to see the governor, and I simply couldn't get away." He went up to Kitty and took both her hands. "I am so very, very glad you are here. I know Dorothy has told you that we want you to stay as long as ever you like, and that we want you to look upon our house as your home. But I want to tell you so myself as well. If there is anything in the world I can do for you, I shall only be too happy." His eyes wore a charming expression of sincerity. She wondered if he saw the irony in hers. "I am awfully stupid at saying some things, and I don't want to seem a clumsy fool, but I do want you to know how deeply I sympathize with you in your husband's death. He was a thundering good chap, and he'll be missed here more than I can say." "Don't, Charlie," said his wife. "I'm sure Kitty understands. Here are the cocktails." Following the luxurious custom of the foreigners in China, 2 boys in uniform came into the room with savouries and cocktails. Kitty refused. "Oh, you must have one," insisted Townsend, in his breezy, cordial way. "It will do you good, and I'm sure you haven't had such a thing as a cocktail since you left Ching Yen. Unless I am very much mistaken, you couldn't get ice at Mai Tai Fu." "You're not mistaken," said Kitty. For a moment she had a picture before her mind's eye of that beggar with the town-sled head in the blue rags, through which you saw the emaciated limbs, who had lain dead against the compound wall. Chapter 73. They went into luncheon, Charlie sitting at the head of his table, easily took charge of the conversation. After those first few words of sympathy, he treated Kitty not as though she had just suffered a devastating experience, but rather as though she had come from Shanghai for a change after an operation of appendicitis. She needed cheering, and he was prepared to cheer her. The best way of making her feel at home was to treat her as one of the family. He was a tactful man. He began talking of the autumn race meetings and the polo. By Jove, he would have to give up playing polo if he couldn't get his weight down. And the chat he had had that morning with the governor. He spoke of a party they had been to on the Admiral's flagship, the state of affairs in Canton, and of the links at Luchon. In a few minutes Kitty felt that she might have been away for no longer than a weekend. It was incredible that over there, up country, 600 miles away, only the distance from London to Edinburgh, wasn't it? Men and women and children had been dying like fleas. Soon she found herself asking about so-and-so, who had broken a collarbone at polo, and if Mrs. This had gone home and Mrs. That was playing in the tennis tournament. Charlie made his little jokes, and she smiled at them. Dorothy, with her faint air of superiority, which now included Kitty, and so was no longer slightly offensive, but put a bound of union rather, was gently ironic about various persons in the colony. Kitty began to feel more alert. "Why, she's looking better already," said Charlie to his wife. "She was so pale before tiffin that I was quite startled. She's really got some color in her cheeks now." But while she took her part in the conversation, if not with gaiety, for she felt that neither Dorothy nor Charlie, with his admirable sense of decorum, would approve of that. That's an awesome name, an awesome word. Decorum. It almost describes what it is by the way it sounds. Decorum. Kitty observed her loss. In all these weeks during which her fancy had been revengefully occupied with him, she had built up in her mind a very vivid impression of him. His thick curling hair was a little too long and too carefully brushed. In order to hide the fact that it was graying, there was too much oil in it. His face was too red, with its network of mauve veins on the cheeks. Mauve. The lovely color of mauve. Purple, mauve, and violet. And his jowl was too massive. When he did not hold his head up to hide it, you saw that he had a double chin, and there was something ape-like in those bushy grizzled eyebrows of his that vaguely disgusted her. He was heavy in his movements, and all the care he took in his diet and all his exercise did not prevent him from being fat. His bones were too well covered, and his joints had a middle-aged stiffness. His smart clothes were a little tight for him, and a little too young. Well, she didn't see all that before, all the mauve and all that. It was being rude now. But when she came into the drawing-room before luncheon, Kitty received quite a shock. This perhaps was why her pallor had been so marked, for she discovered that her imagination had played an odd trick on her. He did not in the least look as she had pictured him. She could hardly keep laughing at herself. His hair was not grey at all. Oh, there were a few white hairs on the temples, but they were becoming. And his face was not red, but sunburned. His head was very well placed on his neck. I should hope so. And he wasn't stout, and he wasn't old. In fact, he was almost slim, and his figure was admirable. Could you blame him if he was a little trifle vain of it? He might have been a young man. And of course he did know how to wear his clothes. It was absurd to deny that. He looked neat and clean and trim. Whether could have possessed her to think him this and that. He was a very handsome man. It was lucky that she knew how worthless he was. Of course, she had always admired that his voice had a winning quality, and his voice was exactly as she remembered it. It made the falseness of every word he said more exasperating. Its richness of tone and its warmth rang now in her ears with insincerity, and she vowed how she could ever have been taken in by it. His eyes were beautiful. That was where his charm lay. They had such a soft blue brilliance, and even when he was talking balderdash, an expression which was so delightful, it was almost impossible not to be moved by them. Balderdash? Not an awesome word. It almost sounds like a sport. The second place in the balderdash. At last the coffee was brought in and Charlie lit his shrew. He looked at his watch and rose from the table. Well, I must leave you two young women to your own devices. It's time for me to go back to the office. He paused and then, with his friendly, charming eyes on Kitty, said to her, I'm not going to bother you for a day or two till you've rested. But then I want to have a little business talk with you. With me? We must make arrangements about your house, you know. And then there's the furniture. Oh, but I can go to a lawyer. There's no reason why I should bother you about that. Don't think for a moment I'm going to let you waste your money on legal expenses. I'm going to see to everything. You know you're entitled to a pension. I'm going to talk to H.E. about it and see if, by making representations in the proper quarter, we can get something extra for you. You put yourself in my hands. But don't bother about anything just yet. All we want you to do now is to get fit and well. Isn't that right, Dorothy? Of course. He gave Kitty a little nod and then, passing by his wife's chair, took her hand and kissed it. Most Englishmen look a little foolish when they kiss a woman's hand. He did it with a graceful ease. 74. It was not till Kitty was fairly settled at Townsend's that she discovered that she was weary. The comfort and the accustomed amity of her life broke up the strain under which she had been living. She had forgotten how pleasant it was to take one's ease, how alluring to be surrounded by pretty things, and how agreeable it was to receive attention. She sank back with a sigh of relief into the facile existence of the luxurious East. It was not displeasing to feel that in a discreet and well-bred fashion she was an object of sympathetic interest. Yes, we are still watching. Her bereavement was so recent that it was impossible for the entertainments to be given for her, but ladies of consequence in the colony His Excellency's wife, the wife of the Admiral and of the Chief Justice, came to drink a quiet cup of tea with her. His Excellency's wife said that His Excellency was most anxious to see her, and if she would come very quietly to luncheon at the Governor's house. Not a party, of course, only ourselves and the ADCs. It would be very nice. These ladies used Kitty as though she were a piece of porcelain, which was as fragile as it was precious. She could not fail to see that they looked upon her as a little heroine, and she had suffered humour to play the part with modesty and discretion. She wished sometimes that Waddington were there. With his malicious shrewdness, he would have seen the fun of the situation, and then alone they might have had a good laugh over it together. Dorothy had had a letter from him, and he had said all manner of things about her devoted work at the convent, and about her courage and her self-control. Of course, he was skillfully pulling their legs, the dirty dog. I think that's the best guy in this book. 75. Kitty did not know whether it was by chance or by design that she never found herself for a moment alone with Charlie. His tact was exquisite. He remained kindly, sympathetic, pleasant, and amiable. No one could have guessed that they had ever been more than acquaintances. But one afternoon, when she was lying on a sofa outside her room, reading, he passed along the veranda and stopped. "What are you reading?" he said. "A book." She looked at him with irony. He smiled. "Dorothy's gone to the garden party at the government's house." "I know. Why haven't you gone too?" "I didn't feel I could face it, and I thought I'd come back and keep you company. The car's outside. Would you like to come for a drive around the island?" "No, thank you." He sat down on the floor of the sofa, or the foot of the sofa on which she lay. "We haven't had a chance to talk by ourselves since you got here." She looked straight into his eyes with cool insolence. "Do you think we have anything to say to one another?" "Volumes." And here comes volume number 2 of the book. She shifted her feet a little so that she should not touch him. "Are you still angry with me?" he asked, the shadow of a smile on his lips and his eyes melting. "Not a bit," she laughed. "You don't think you'd laugh if you weren't. I don't think you'd laugh if you weren't." "You're mistaken. I despise you much too much to be angry with you." Ah, the good old despisement. Yes. He was so unruffled. "I think you'd rather hard on me." Looking back calmly, "Don't you honestly think I was right? From your standpoint. Now that you know Dorothy, you must admit she's rather nice." "Of course. I shall always be grateful for her great kindness to me. She's 1 in 1,000. I should never have had a moment's peace if we'd bolted. It would have been a rotten trick to play on her, and after all I had to think of my children. It would have been an awful handicap for them." For a moment she held him in her reflective gaze. She felt completely mistress of the situation. "Okay. I've watched you very carefully during the week I've been here. You've come to the conclusion that you are really I've come to the conclusion that you really are fond of Dorothy. I should never have thought you capable of it. I told you that I was fond of her. I wouldn't do anything to cause her a moment's uneasiness. She's the best wife a man has ever had. Have you ever thought that you owed her any loyalty? What the eye doesn't see, the heart doesn't grieve for, he smiled. She shrugged her shoulders. You are despicable. I am human. I don't know why you should think me such a cad because I fell head over heels in love with you. I don't particularly want to know. It gave her a little twist of the heartstrings to hear him say that. I was fair game, she answered bitterly. Naturally, I couldn't foresee that we were going to get into such a devil of a scrape. And in any case, you had a pretty shrewd idea that if anyone suffered, it wouldn't be you. I think that's a bit thick, after all. Now, it's all over. You must see I acted for the best of both of us. You lost your head, and you ought to be jolly glad that I kept mine. Don't you think it would have been a success if I'd gone to marry, if done what you wanted me to do? We were dashed uncomfortable in a frying pan, but we should have been a damned sight worse off in the fire. And you haven't come to any harm. Why can't we kiss and make friends? She almost laughed. You can hardly expect me to forget that you sent me to almost certain death without a shadow of compulsion. Oh, that's nonsense. I told you there was no risk if you took reasonable precautions. Do you think I'd have let you go for a moment if I hadn't been perfectly convinced of that? You were convinced because you wanted to be. You're one of those cowards who only think that it is profitable for them to think. They only think what is profitable for them to think. Well, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You've come back, and you don't mind me saying anything so objectionable. You've come back prettier than ever. And Walter? He could not resist the facetious answer which came to his mind. Charlie smiled. Nothing suits you so well as black. Yeah, I hear is slimming. She stared at him for a moment. Tears filled her eyes, and she began to cry. Her beautiful face was distorted with grief. She did not seek to hide it, but lay on her back with her hands along her sides. For God's sake, don't cry like that. I didn't mean to say anything unkind. It was only a joke. You know how sincerely I feel for you in your bereavement. Oh, hold your stupid tongue. I'd give anything to have Walter back again. He died because of you and me. He took her hand, but she snatched it away from him. Please go away, she sobbed. That's the only thing you can do for me now. I hate and despise you. Walter was worth 10 of you, and I was too big a fool to see it. Go away. Go away. She saw that he was going to speak again, and she sprang to her feet and went into her room. He followed her, and as he entered with an instinctive prudence, drew the shutters so that they were almost in darkness. I cannot leave you like this, he said, putting his arms around her. You know I didn't mean to hurt you. Don't touch me. For God's sake, go. Go away. She tried to tear herself from him, but he would not let her. She was crying hysterically now. Darling, don't you know that I have always loved you? He said, in his deep, charming voice. I love you more than ever. How can you tell such lies? Lies, oh lies. Let me go, damn you, let me go. Don't be unkind to me, Kitty. I know you've been a brute. I know I've been a brute to you, but forgive me. Forgive me? She was shaking and sobbing, struggling to get away from him, but the pressure of his arms was strangely comforting. She had so longed to feel them around her once more, just once, and all her body trembled. She felt dreadfully weak. It seemed as though her bones were melting, and the sorrow she felt for Walter shifted into pity for herself. "Oh, how could you be so unkind to me?" she sobbed. "Don't you know that I loved you with all my heart? No one has ever loved you as I love you, darling." He began to kiss her. "No, no," she cried. He sought her face, but she turned away. He sought her lips. She did not know what he was saying, broken, passionate words of love, and his arms held her so firm that she felt like a child that had been lost and now was at last safe at home. She moaned faintly. Her eyes were closed and her face was wet with tears. And then he found her lips, and the pressure of his upon them shot through her body like the flame of God. It was an ecstasy, and she was burned to a cinder, and she glowed as though she were transfigured. In her dreams she had known this rapture. What was he doing with her now? She did not know. She was not a woman. Her personality was dissolved. She was nothing but desire. He lifted her off her feet. She was very light in his arms. He carried her, and she clung to him, desperate and adoring. Her head sunk on the pillow, and his lips clung to hers. Ooh. Sexy time. Um, 76. She sat on the edge of the bed, hiding her face with her hands. "Would you like a drop of water?" She shook her head. He went over to the washing stand, filled the tooth glass, and brought it to her. "Come along, have a little drink, and you'll feel better." He put a glass to her lips, and she sipped the water. Then, with horrified eyes, she stared at him. He was standing over her, looking down, and in his eyes was a twinkle of self-satisfaction. "Well, don't you think I'm such a dirty dog as you did?" he asked. "Well, do you think I'm such a dirty dog as you did?" he asked. She looked down. "Yes, but I know that I'm no better than you. Oh, I'm so ashamed." "Well, I think you are very ungrateful. Will you go now?" "To tell you the truth, I think it's about time. I'll go and tidy myself up before Dorothy comes in." He went out of the room with a jaunty step. Kitty sat for a while, still on the edge of the bed, hunched up like an imbecile. Her mind was vacant. A little shudder passed through her. She staggered to her feet and, going to the dressing table, sank into a chair. She stared at herself in the glass. Her eyes were swollen with tears. Her face was stained, and there was a red mark on one cheek where his had rested. She looked at herself with horror. It was the same face. She had expected in it she knew not what change of degradation. "Swine!" she flung at her reflection. "Swine!" Then, letting her face fall on her arms, she wept bitterly. Shame! Shame! She did not know what had come over her. It was horrible. She had hated him, and she hated herself. It had been ecstasy. Oh, hateful. She could never look him in the face again. She was so justified. He had been right not to marry her, for she was worthless. She was no better than a harlot. Oh, of course, for those poor women gave themselves for bread, and in this house, too, with which Dorothy had taken her in her sorrow and cruel desolation, her shoulders shook with her sobs. Everything was gone now. She had thought herself changed. She had thought herself strong. She had thought she had returned to Chingyen a woman who possessed herself. New ideas flinged about her heart like little yellow butterflies in the sunshine, and she had hoped to be so much better in the future. Freedom, like a spirit of light, had beckoned her on, and the world was like a spacious plain through which she could walk light of foot and with head erect. She had thought herself free from lust and vile passions, free to live the clean and healthy life of a spirit. She had likened herself to the white egrets that fly with leisurely flight across the rice fields at dusk, as they are like the soaring thoughts of a mind at rest with itself. And she was a slave, weak, weak. It was hopeless. It was no good to try. She was a slut. Not that we're slut-shaming here. She would not go in to dinner. She sent the boy to tell Dorothy that she had a headache and preferred to remain in her room. Dorothy came in and, seeing her red, swollen eyes, talked to her for a moment in her gentle, commiserating way of trivial things. Kitty knew that Dorothy thought she had been crying on account of Walter, and sympathizing like a good loving wife she was, respected the natural sorrow. "I know it's been very hard, dear," she said as she left Kitty, "but you must try to have courage. I'm sure your dear husband wouldn't wish you to grieve for him." Lovely. 77. But next morning Kitty rose early and leaving a note for Dorothy to say that she was gone out on business, took a tram down the hill. She made her way through the crowded streets with their motor cars, rickshaws and chairs, and to the motley throng of Europeans and Chinese, to the offices of the P&O Company. A ship was sailing in 2 days. The first ship out of port, and she had made up her mind that at all costs she must go on it. When the clerk told her that every berth was booked, she asked to see the chief agent. She sent in her name, and the agent, who she had met before, came out to fetch her into his office. He knew her circumstances, and when she told him that she wished to be sent for the passenger list, he looked at it with perplexity. "I beseech you to do what you can for me," she urged him. "I don't think there is anyone in the colony who wouldn't do anything in the world for you, Mrs. Fane," he answered. He sent for a clerk and made inquiries. Then he nodded. "I'm going to shift 1 or 2 people. I know you want to go home, and I think we ought to do our best for you. I can give you a little cabin to yourself. I expect you'd prefer that?" She thanked him. She left him with an elated heart. Flight. That was her only thought. Flight. She sent a cable to her father to announce her immediate return. She had already cabled to him to say that Walter was dead, and then went back to the Townsends to tell Dorothy what she had done. "We shall be dreadfully sorry to lose you," the kind creature said, "but of course I understand that you want to be with your mother and father. Since her return to Chingyen, Kitty had hesitated from day to day to go to her house. She dreaded entering it again and meeting face to face the recollections with which it was peopled. But now she had no alternative. Townsend had arranged for the sale of the furniture, and he had found someone eager to take on the lease. But there were all her clothes and Walter's, and for they had taken next to nothing to Mai Tai Fu, and there were books, photographs, and various odds and ends. Kitty, indifferent to everything and anxious to cut herself off completely from the past, realized that it would outrage the susceptibilities of the colony. That was a word. If she allowed these things to go with the rest of the auction, they must be packed and sent to her. After tiffin, she prepared to go to the house. Dorothy, eager to get her help, offered to accompany her, but Kitty begged to be allowed to go alone. She agreed that 2 of the Dorothy boys should come and assist in the packing. The house had been left in charge of the head boy, and he opened the door for Kitty. It was curious to go into her own house as though she were a stranger. It was neat and clean. Everything was in its place, ready for her use. But although the day was warm and sunny, there was about the silent rooms a chilly and desolate air. The furniture was stiffly arranged, exactly where it should be, and the vases, which should have held flowers, were in their places. The books which Kitty had laid face down, she did not remember they still lay face downwards. It was as though the house had been left empty but a minute, and yet that minute was fraught with eternity, so that you could not imagine that ever again that house would echo with talk and resound with laughter. On the piano, the open music of a foxtrot seemed to wait to be played, but you had a feeling that if you struck the eyes, no sound would come. Walter's room was tidy, as when he was there. On the chest of the drawers were 2 large photographs of Kitty, one in her presentation dress, and one in her wedding gown. But the boys fetched up the trunks and the box room, and she stood over them watching them pack. They packed neatly and quickly. Kitty reflected that in the 2 days she had it would have been easy to get everything done. She must not let herself think. She had no time for that. Suddenly, she heard a step behind her, and turning around, saw Charles Townsend. She felt a sudden chill at her heart. "What do you want?" she said. "Will you come into the sitting room? I have something to tell you." "I'm very busy. I shall only keep you for 5 minutes. A quickie." Yeah, fame. Fame and fortune. Here I come. She said no more, but with a word to the boys to go on with what they were doing, preceded Charles into the next room. She did not sit down. In order to show him that she expected him not to detain her, she knew that she was very pale and her heart was beating fast, but she faced him coolly with hostile eyes. "What is it you want? I've heard from Dorothy that you are going the day after tomorrow. She told me that you'd come here to do your packing, and she asked me to ring up and find out if there was anything I could do for you. I'm grateful for you, but I can quite manage well by myself." "So I imagined." I did not come here to ask you that. I came here to ask if your sudden departure is due to that what happened yesterday? You and Dorothy have been very good to me. I don't wish you to think I was taking advantage of your good nature. That's not a very straight answer. What does it matter to you? It matters a great deal. I shouldn't like to think that anything I'd done had driven you away. She was standing at the table. She looked down. Her eyes fell upon the sketch. It was months old now. It was that paper which Walter had stared at long through the terrible evening. And Walter now was... She raised her eyes. I feel absolutely degraded. I cannot possibly despise... You cannot possibly despise me as much as I despise myself. But I don't despise you. I meant every word that I said yesterday. What's the good of running away like this? I don't know why we can't be good friends. I hate the idea of you thinking I've treated you badly. Why couldn't you leave me alone? Hang it all. I'm not a stick or a stone. Is it so unreasonable? The way you look at it, it is so morbid. I thought after yesterday you'd feel a little more kindly to me. After all, we're only human. I don't feel human. I feel like an animal. A pig, or a rabbit, or a dog. Oh, I don't blame you. I was just as bad. I yielded to you because I wanted you. But it wasn't me. It wasn't the real me. I'm not that hateful, beastly, lustful a woman. I disown her. It wasn't me that lay on that bed panting for you when my husband was hardly cold in his grave and your wife had been so kind to me, so undescribably kind. It was only the animal in me, the dark, fearful, like an evil spirit, and I disown it, and hate and despise it. And ever since, when I've thought of it, my gorge rises, and I feel I must vomit. Well, I'm fairly broad-minded, but sometimes you say things that positively shock me. Hey, Mystic. I should be sorry to do that. You'd better go away. You've been very unimportant, little man, and I'm silly to talk to you seriously. He did not answer for a while, and she saw by the shadows in his blue eyes that he was angry with her. He would have a sigh of relief then, tactful and courteous, as ever. He had finally seen her off. It amused her to think of the politeness with which, while they shook hands, he wished her a pleasant journey. She would thank him for his hospitality, but she saw his expression change. "Dorothy tells me you're going to have a baby," he said. "Ooh, buddy." "I am. Am I by any chance the father?" No, it's Walter's child." She spoke with an emphasis which she could not prevent, but even as she spoke she knew that it was not the tone with which to carry conviction. "Are you quite sure?" He was roguishly smiling. "After all, you were married to Walter a couple of years and nothing happened. The dates seem to fit all right. I think it must be more likely to be mine than Walter's." "I would rather kill myself than have a child of yours." "Oh, come on, that's nonsense. Nonsense. I shouldn't be awfully pleased and proud. I'd like it to be a girl, you know. I've only had boys with Dorothy. You wouldn't be able to be in a doubt very long, you know. My free kitties are absolutely the living image of me. She had resigned his good humor, and she knew why. If the child was his, though she might never see him again, she could never entirely escape him. His power over her would reach out, and he would still obscurely but definitely influence her every day of her life. If you really are the most vain and fatuous ass that is ever been my bad luck to run across, she said. So you really are the most vain and fatuous ass. Fatuous? We're learning new insults here.
Fatuous.
Innately foolish or silly. Well, there you go. A silly ass. He was a silly ass. You have been the most vain and the most silly ass I've ever had the bad luck to run across. 78. As the ship steamed into Marseille, Kitty, looking at the rugged and beautiful outline of the coast glowing in the sunlight, on a sudden caught sight of the golden statue of the Blessed Virgin, which stands upon the church of the Sainte Marie de la Grace, as a symbol of safety to the mariner at sea. She remembered how the sisters of the convent of Mai Tai Fu, leaving their own land forever, had knelt at the figure faded in the distance, so that it was no more than a little golden flame in the blue sky, and sought in prayer to allay the pang of separation. She clasped her hands in supplication, to that power she not knew. She knew not, not knew. During the long, quiet journey, she had thought incessantly of the horrible thing that had happened to her. She could not understand herself. It was so unexpected that what was it that seized her, so that despising him with all her heart, she had yielded passionately to Charlie's foul embrace. Rage filled her, and disgust of herself obsessed her. She felt that she could never forget her humiliation. She wept, but as the distance from Ching Yen increased, she found that she was insensibly losing the vividness of her resentment. What had happened seemed to have happened in another world. She was like a person who had been stricken and sudden madness and recovering its distress, and ashamed at the grotesque thing he had vaguely remembers to have done when he was not himself. But because he knows that he was not himself, he feels that in his own eyes, at least, he can claim indolence. Kitty thought that perhaps a generous heart might pity her rather than condemn her. But she sighed as she thought how woefully her self-confidence had been shattered. The way had seemed to stretch before her straight and easy now. She saw that it was a tortuous way, and the pitfalls awaited her. The vast spaces and the tragic and the beautiful sunsets of the Indian Ocean arrested her. She seemed born then to some country where she might in freedom possess her soul, if she could only regain her self-respect at the cost of a bitter conflict. Well, She must find the courage to affront it. The future was lovely and difficult. At Port Said, she had received a letter from her mother in answer to her cable. It was a long letter written in the large and fanciful writings which was taught to young ladies in her mother's youth. Its ornateness was so neat that it gave you an impression of insincerity. Mrs. Garstin expressed her regrets at Walter's death and sympathized properly with her daughter's grief. She feared that Kitty was left inadequately provided for, but naturally the Colonial Office would give her a pension. She was glad to know that Kitty was coming back to England, and, of course, she must come and stay with her father and mother till her child was born. They followed certain instructions that Kitty must be sure to follow, and various details of her sister Dorothy's confinement. The little boy weighed so and so much, and his paternal grandfather said he had never seen a finer child. Doris was expecting again, and they hoped for another boy in order to make the succession of the baronetcy quite sure. Kitty saw that the point of the letter lay in the definitive date set for the invitation. Mrs. Garstin had no intention of being settled with a widowed daughter in modest circumstances. It was singular, when she reflected how her mother had idolized her, and now, disappointed in her, she found herself merely a nuisance. How strange was the relation between parents and child. When they were small, the parents doted on them, passed through agonies of apprehension at each childish ailment, and the children clung to their parents with love and adoration. A few years passed, the children grew up, and persons not of their kin were more important to their happiness than father and mother. Indifference displaced the blind and instructive love of the past. Their meetings were a source of boredom and irritation. Distracted once at the thought of a month's separation, they were able now to look forward with equanimity to being parted for years. Her mother need not worry. As soon as she could, she would make herself a home of her own. But she must have a little time. At present, everything was vague, and she could not form any picture of the future. Perhaps she would die at childbirth. That would be a solution of many difficulties. Good old childbirth. Solving problems. But when they docked, 2 letters were handed to her. She was surprised to recognize her father's writing. She did not remember that he had ever written to her. He was not effusive, and began, "Dear Kitty." He told her that he was writing instead of her mother, who had not been well and was obliged to go into a nursing home to have an operation. Kitty was not to be frightened, and was to keep to her intention of going round by sea. It was much more expensive to come across by land, and with her mother away, it would be inconvenient for Kitty to stay at home in the Harrington Gardens. The other was from Doris. It started, "Kitty darling," not because Doris had any particular affection for her, but because it was her way thus to address everyone she knew. "Kitty darling, I expect father has written to you. Mother has gotten to have an operation. It appears that she has been rotten for the last year, but you know she hates doctors, and she has been taking all sorts of patent medicines. I don't quite know what's the matter with her, as she insists on making a secret of the whole thing, and flies into a passion if you ask her questions. She has been looking simply awful, and if I were you, I think I'd get off at Marseille and come back as quickly as you can. But don't let on that I told you to come, as she pretends there is nothing much the matter with her, and she doesn't want you to get here till she's back at home. She's made the doctor's promise that she shall be moved in a week. Best love, Doris. I'm awfully sorry about Walter. You must have had a hell of a time, poor darling. I'm simply dying to see you. It's rather funny, our both having babies together. We shall be able to hold one another's hands. Kitty, lost in reflection, stood for a little while on the deck. She could not imagine her mother ill. She never remembered to have seen her other than active and resolute. She had always been impatient of other people's ailments. Then a steward came up to her with a telegram. Deeply regret to inform you that your mother died this morning. Father. Well, that precipitated quickly. Kitty rang the bell at the house in Harrington Gardens. She was told that her father was in the study, and going to the door, she opened it softly. He was sitting by the fire reading the last edition of the evening paper. He looked up as she entered, put down the paper, and sprang nervously to his feet. "Oh, Kitty, I didn't expect you till the later train. I thought you wouldn't want to bother of coming to meet me, so I didn't wire the time I expected to arrive." He gave her his cheek to kiss, and in the manner she so well remembered. I was just having a look at the paper," he said. "I haven't read the paper for the last 2 days." She saw that he thought it needed some explanation if he occupied himself with the ordinary affairs of life. "Of course," she said. "You must be tired out. I'm afraid Mother's death has been quite a great shock to you." He was older and thinner than when she had last seen him, a little lined, dried-up man with a precise manner. The surgeon said that there had never been any hope. She hadn't been herself for more than a year, but she refused to see a doctor. The surgeon told me that she must have been in constant pain. He said it was a miracle that she had been able to endure it. Did she ever complain? She said she wasn't very well, but she never complained of pain. He paused and looked at Kitty. "Are you very tired after your journey?" "Not very." "Would you like to go up to see her?" "Is she here?" "Yes, she was brought here from the nursing home." "Yes, I will go now." "Would you like me to come with you?" There was something in her father's tone that made her look at him quite quickly. His face was slightly turned from her. He did not want her to catch his eye. Kitty had acquired of late a singular proficiency of reading the thoughts of others. After all, day after day she had applied all her sensibilities to divine from a casual word or an unguarded gesture the hidden thoughts of her husband. She guessed at once that her father was trying to hide from her. It was a relief he felt, an infinite relief. He was frightened of himself. For hard on 30 years he had been a good and faithful husband. He had never uttered a single word in dispraise of his wife, and now he should grieve for her. He had always done the things that were expected of him. It would have been shocking to him by the flicker of an eyelid, or by the smallest hint, to betray that he did not feel that under the circumstances a bereaved husband should feel. "No, I would rather go by myself," said Kitty. She went upstairs and into the large, cold, and pretentious bedroom in which her mother, for so many years, had slept. She remembered so well those massive pieces of mahogany, and the engravings after Marcus Stone which adorned the walls. The things on the dressing table were arranged with the stiff precision which Mrs. Garston had all her life insisted upon. The flowers looked out of place. Mrs. Garston would have thought it silly, affected, and unhealthy to have flowers in her bedroom. Their perfume did not cover that acrid, musky smell, as of freshly washed linen, which Kitty remembered as characteristic of her mother's room. Mrs. Garston lay on the bed, her hands folded across her breast, with a meekness which in life she would have had no patience with. She is annoyed in death. With her strong, sharp features, the cheeks hollow with suffering, and the temples sunken, she looked handsome and even imposing. Death had robbed her. Why did you rob her, Death? Death had robbed her face of its meanness and left only an impression of character. She might have been a Roman empress. It was strange to Kitty that of the dead person she had seen, this was the only one who in death seemed to preserve a look as though that clay had been once a habitation of the spirit. Grief she could not feel, for there had been too much bitterness between her mother and herself to leave in her heart any deep feeling of affection. And looking back on the girl she had been, she knew that it was her mother who had made her what she was. But when she looked at that hard, domineering, and ambitious woman who lay there so still and silent, with all her petty aims frustrated by death, God damn it, Death! She was aware of a vague pathos. Stop frustrating people. Jesus. She had schemed and intrigued all her life, and never had she desired anything but what was base and unworthy. Kitty wondered whether perhaps in some other sphere she looked upon her earthly course with consternation. Doris came in. I thought you'd come by this train. I felt I must look in for a moment. Isn't it dreadful? Poor darling mother. Bursting into tears, she flung herself into Kitty's arms. Kitty kissed her. She knew how her mother had neglected Doris in favor of her, and how harsh she had been for her because she was plain and dull. She wondered whether Doris really felt the extravagant grief she showed, but Doris has always been emotional. She wished she could cry. Doris would think her dreadfully hard. Kitty felt that she had been through too much to feign a distress she did not feel. Would you like to come and see father? She asked her when the strength of her outburst had somewhat subsided. Doris wiped her tears. Kitty noticed that her sister's pregnancy had blunted her features. In her black dress, she looked like gross and blousy. Blousy, I guess. No, I don't think I will. I shall only cry again. Poor old thing. He's bearing it wonderfully. Kitty showed her sister out of the house and then went back to her father. He was standing in front of the fire and the newspaper was neatly folded. He wanted her to see that he had not been reading it again. I haven't dressed for dinner, he said. I don't think it was necessary. Dressing for dinner? Yeah, we really should do that more often. Why don't we dress for dinner nowadays? Chapter 80. They died. Mr. Garston gave Kitty the details of his wife's illness and death, and he told her the kindness of the friends who had written. There were piles of sympathetic letters on the tables, and he sighed when he considered the burden of answering them, and the arrangements he had made for the funeral. When they went back into his study, this was the only room in the house which had a fire. He mechanically took from the chimney-pieces his pipe and began to fill it, but he gave his daughter a doubtful look and put it down. "Aren't you going to smoke?" she asked. "Your mother didn't really much like the smell of pipe after dinner, and since the war I've given up cigars." His answer gave Kitty a little pang. It seemed dreadful that a man of 60 should hesitate to smoke what he wanted in his own study. I like the smell of pipe," she smiled. Nobody has time to dress to eat. Man, if you have time to eat, you have time to dress to eat. Come on. Come on. You know, this would be a gift to Mystic. Give her a pipe. Mystic, did you ever smoke? I think it's a different type of tobacco, right? The pipe tobacco? I knew a sailor. I knew an old sailor back when I was closer to the Black Sea. Used to smoke pipes all the time. I've had pipe tobacco and I don't like it, lol. Oh man, that sucks. It would have been awesome to see you smoking a pipe. Oh, can you even imagine? I know you don't really stream with your face, but you know. I can just imagine it. Puffing away there. Tapping the thing on the, you know. You have to clean it and stuff. Fill it up again. There are all sorts of little mannerisms that you get with, you know, filling the pipe, and I don't know, I think it keeps your hands busy. Mystic pipe. Ooh, Cam with a chicken. El Cameronski with a chicken. Let me see if I still have the chicken.
In 30 seconds you'll be dead. I'll blow this place up and be home in time for cornflakes.
I still have the chicken. Still have the chicken button. It's they're on the F buttons. You can imagine it's tobacco while I'm puffing away on my glass pipe low. I don't know, that just that look of you with a pipe. I don't know. It seems funny to me. Just comes in with that chicken. Well, here's some roses. Thank you for the roses. Thank you. Ooh, 6 roses. Thank you. I saved the roses for Mystic. Ah. But she doesn't stream here anymore, man. Totally beating you in chickens, by the way. Yeah. I think the last time I saw Mystic on stream, I gave her a chicken. But then she never came back. It was some time ago. She never came back to travel. It's probably for the best. Has more chances of having more people there on Twitcherino. Did you activate that thing, by the way? The Fellowship of the Ring? Whatever they throw at you there on Twitch. I never got to activate that stuff. Ah, that's sweet. I'm waiting for someone to fix my restream. You know what happens? It keeps telling you to re-register or whatever it is. It asks me at least once a month, and I just click on the thing, you know, re-register, and it just wants you to log in into Trovo on the same web browser and stuff, so it knows it's you. Yeah, I think it went through. I haven't streamed since. Yeah, I haven't seen you streaming in my mornings. It was such a routine. I literally have a web browser that opens me Trovo and Twitch. And the recommended stream on Trovo is always my ducks, and I just click on my ducks. But you weren't there on Twitch. What happened? Should I be on Twitch? Oh, hell no, man. It's fine. Oh, wait. I should actually have one of you on every platform. So I have a viewer on each of them. Cameron is usually on YouTube. Gotta have your ducks and Mystic with your tea and coffee. Yeah, it was like a thing. Like a whole thing. I literally don't have anybody that I look at while, you know, which streams in that morning hour. There's nobody. I have nobody. Yeah, it's fine. I'll have my ducks. My ducks are there quacking and stuff. And now there's like the tiny ducks, the ducklings. So we have that. Mystic time zone. Rip. Yeah, she was getting... right? You're getting up to wake up. Maniac and stuff. Was the whole thing. A faint look of relief crossed his face, and taking his pipe once more, he lit it. Good old pipe smoking. They sat opposite to one another on each side of the fire. He felt that he must talk to Kitty on her own troubles, You received the letter your mother wrote to you, to Port Said, I suppose. The news of poor Walter's death was a great shock to both of us. I thought him a very nice fellow. Kitty did not know what to say. Your mother told me that you were going to have a baby. Yes. When do you expect it? In about 4 months. It will be a great consolation to you. You must go and see Dorothy's boy. He's a fine little fellow. Fine little fellow. They were talking more distantly than if they were strangers who had just met. For if they had been, he would have been interested in her just because of that, and curious. But their common past was a wall of indifference between them. Kitty knew too well that she had done nothing to beget her father's affection. He had never counted in the house, and had been taken for granted. The breadwinner who was a little despised because he could provide no more luxury for his family. But he had taken for granted that he loved her just because he was her father. And it was a shock to discover that in his heart he was empty of feeling for her. She had known that they were all bored of him, but it had never occurred to her that he was equally bored of them. He was as ever kind and subdued, but the sad perspicacity which she had learned in suffering suggested to her that though he had probably never acknowledged it to himself, and he never would, in his heart he disliked her. His pipe was not drawing, and he rose, and he rose to find something to poke it with. Poke it, man. Perhaps it was an excuse to hide his nervousness. Your mother wished you to stay here till your baby was born, and she was going to have your old room gotten ready for you. I know. I promise you I won't be a bother. Oh, it's not that. Under the circumstances, it was evident that the only place for you to come was your father's house. But the fact is that I've just been offered the post of Chief Justice of the Bahamas, and I have accepted it. Oh, Father, I'm so glad. I congratulate you with all my heart. The officer arrived too late for me to tell you your poor mother. I would have given her a great satisfaction. The bitter irony of fate. After all her efforts, intrigues, and humiliations, Mrs. Garston had died without knowing that her ambition, however modified by past disappointments, was at last achieved. I am sailing early next month. Of course, this house will be put in an agent's hands, and my intentions was to sell the furniture. I am sorry that I shouldn't be able to have you stay here, but if you like any of the furniture to furnish a flat, I shall be extremely pleased to give it to you. Kitty looked into the fire. Her heart beat quickly. It was curious that on a sudden she should be so nervous, but at last she forced herself to speak. In her voice was a little tremor. Couldn't I come with you, Father? You? Oh, my dear Kitty. His face fell. She had often heard the expression, but thought it only a phrase, and now, for the first time in her life, she saw the movements that described it. It was so marked that it startled her. But all your friends are here, and Doris is here. I should have thought you'd be much happier if you took a flat in London. I don't exactly know what your circumstances are, but I shall be very glad to pay the rent of it. I have enough money to live on. I'm going to a strange place. I know nothing of the conditions. I've been used to stranger places. London means nothing to me anymore. I couldn't breathe there. He closed his eyes for a moment, and she thought he was going to cry. His face bore an expression of utter misery. It wrung her heart. She had been right. The death of his wife had filled him with relief, and now his chance to break entirely with the past had offered him freedom. He had seen a new life spread before him, and at last, after all these years, rest and the marriage of happiness. She saw dimly all the suffering that had preyed on his heart for 30 years. At last he opened his eyes. He could not prevent the sigh that escaped him. "Of course, if you wish to come, I shall be very pleased." It was pitiful. The struggle had been short, and he had surrendered to his sense of duty. The struggle had been short, and he had surrendered to his sense of duty. With those few words, he abandoned all his hopes. She rose from her chair and, going over him, kneeled down and seized his hands. "No, father, I won't come unless you want me. You sacrificed yourself enough. If you want to go alone, go. Don't think of me a minute." He released one of his hands and stroked her pretty hair. "Of course I want you to come, my dear. After all, I am your father, and you are a widow and alone. If you want to be with me, it would be very unkind of me not to want you." "But that's just it. I make no claims on you because I'm your daughter. You owe me nothing." "Oh, my dear child." "Nothing!" she repeated vehemently. "My heart sinks when I think how we've bantered on you all our lives and have given you nothing in return. Not even a little affection. I'm afraid you've not had a very happy life." "Won't you let me try to make up a little for all I have failed to do in the past?" He frowned a little. Her emotion embarrassed him. "I don't know what you mean. I've never had any complaints to make to you." "Oh, father, I've been through so much. I've been so unhappy. I'm not the Kitty I was when I went away. I am terribly weak. But I don't think I am the filthy cad I was then. Won't you give me a chance? I have nobody but you in the world now." Well, she also has her sister, but apparently she doesn't give a rat's ass about that. "Won't you let me try to make you love me? Oh, father, I am so lonely and so miserable. I want your love so badly." She buried her face in his lap and cried as though her heart was breaking. "Oh, Kitty, oh, my little Kitty," he murmured. She looked up and put her arms around his neck. "Oh, father, be kind to me. Let us be kind to one another." He kissed her on the lips as a lover might, and his cheeks were wet with her tears. Well, there you go. People kiss other people on the lips. People do that here as well. The older people do. I don't think I've seen the new generation do it. "Of course you shall come with me." "Don't you want me to? Do you really want me to?" "Yes. I am so grateful to you." "Oh, my dear, don't say things like that to me. It makes me feel quite awkward." "Awkward?" He took out his handkerchief and dried her eyes. He smiled in a way that she had never seen him smile before. Once more she threw her arms around his neck. "We'll have such a lark, father dear. You don't know what fun we're going to have together. You haven't forgotten that you're going to have a baby. I'm glad she'll be born out of there without a sound of the sea and under a wide blue sky. Have you already made up your mind about the sex? He murmured, with his thin and dry smile. I want a girl, because I want to bring her up so that she shan't make the mistakes I've made. That's... okay. When I look back upon the girl that I was, I hate myself. But I never had a chance. I'm going to bring up my daughter so that she'll be free and she can stand on her own feet. I'm not going to bring a child into the world and love her and bring her up just so that some man may want to sleep with her so much that he is willing to provide her with board and lodging for the rest of her life. You made tentacles a necklace? Awesome. Awesome possum. She felt her father stricken. He had never spoken of such things, and it shocked him to hear those words in his daughter's mouth. Let me be frank just this once, father. I have been foolish and wicked and hateful. I have been horribly punished. I am determined to save my daughter from all that. I want her to be fearless and frank. Frankie! I want her to be a person, independent of others, because she is possessed of herself, and I want her to take life like a free man, and make a better job of it than I have. Why, my love, you talk as though you were 50. You've got your whole life before you. You mustn't be downheaded, downhearted. Kitty shook her head and slowly smiled. I am not. I have hope and courage. The past is finished. Let the dead bury the dead. It is all uncertain, life and whatever is to come to me, but I enter upon it with a light and buoyant heart. It was all confused, but vaguely I discern a pattern, and I see before me inexhaustible richness, the mystery and the strangeness of everything, compassion and charity, the way and the wayfarer, and perhaps in the end, God. The end. A little creaking here for the end. Missed some of the chatterino. Finn. Yep. Classic Finn. So Mystic was making some necklace for tentacles. You were there yesterday. Just excuses to practice driving again. Nah. Who doesn't like driving? I mean, obviously, if you can't move your leg, maybe not. But you have such a pretty country there. Could be, you know, camping and stuff. If you have camping grounds or whatever. There's a pretty sight there. Just, you know, try not to go under the falling rocks thing. Don't camp there. Or, you know, Bumphead Canyon or whatever. Suicide Rock, whatever else you have there. Camp away from the dangerous sounding things. Ooh, what's that? St. Patrick. No, they still have those. I thought that was last week. Anyway, it's time for a break. Alrighty then. Alrighty then. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you. The roses and the St. Patrick's. Nether, when am I going to get the voice act from you? Oh, I'm working on it. I've been this week I've been cheating on you guys. I've been reading another book for for the other thing. I'm book cheating on you. But I feel I did it faster on my own. Those epic stuff are popped. Just text them. Yeah. Don't know why they pop up. Annoying. And now it doesn't get my controller. And now I have it back. Okay, it's fine. La 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 la. So yeah, I am actually doing research. I know it doesn't. My videos don't seem like they have a lot of research on them, but yeah, I'm actually doing research. And ooh, thank you for the roses. And yeah, reading without you guys. It's in the epic settings. I suppose I'll have to have a look at that. I read 2 books on on Dracula, and I didn't even make that video, man. So now I'm reading something else, which is, you know, for Cam. You better get your English accent on, man. I finished another one of these. The last thing I did, I actually had a... Ooh, year 8. That's going to be rough. I think we have our best shot with this guy. Mystic with the roses. I haven't forgotten about you and your voice acting, Mystic. Oh, look at the googly eyes on the statues here. Oh, and they blink as well. Tiny penis. Let's play. Yeah. This is something we had last time. Let's put a little turret here. We have only one prickly. The pricklies don't really need water. We can put that on now. It's so hard. It's not hard. It's 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes. It is 5 minutes. Ooh. Purple worm. You are going to feel so ridiculous after you do it. You're like, it was nothing. Shouldn't take you more than an hour. Even with you repeating stuff. Stop stalling or we'll start calling you McGeeham. Maybe McGeeham, man. McGee Mayhem. The McGeeham. I think it's been more than 2 months. I finished another video. I know you've seen it. Trust me, the animating takes a lot longer than actually reading. Too many things. Oh, God damn it. This thing fires way too many bullets now. Way too many. I disapprove. He said he could do it better. I have a thing for him as well. But right now I'm researching the English guy. God damn it. He is on the list. He will have to prove himself as well. And deaf if he likes. But he kinda doesn't want to. What, are you afraid of death? I want to do a mini-series on the Crucible with Yol. What's the Crucible? I mainly want to burn the witches. It's not that though. Yes, everyone will fight to the death. Nobody will get past me. I don't even know what that is, man. I think I told you that some things are in the sort of a world recognition and some things aren't. Oh, this guy. It's going to be annoying. So I had a game where I actually defeated all the evil trees. It's pretty neat. That's all the eight worlds. Of course it was a year too, and I used that time lady. She's pretty cool. She has more time than the others if you don't get hit. And at a year 2 I could dodge them better. Okay. And I'm going to finish this, but we can try. Let's not let any random stuff to hit us. You'll be burning me, Cameron. Yeah, we were talking about that. Sure, only if you're into it. You know other girls? Jesus. Look at popular Cam there, knowing girls and stuff. Well, way to go, Cam. Maybe. Well, I could classify as a witch. You can just make Maniac a man witch, it's fine. We talked about this. Man-witch. It's fine. Man-witch to the rescue. Oh, I have cows and stuff now. That's awesome. Let's put the things. Let's get this. Okay. We can put here. Yeah, let's put our houses. Can make the things big here. Awesome. I got a cloud. Assholes are coming. I guess we should put like random stuff around here. Cool, not my heart. I think I've seen everything to see on my first island. Oh, this is going to be tough without a weapon. Just like P little shooter. It's pretty harsh now. Pretty harsh with just a pea shooter. Heart. They do drop more hearts in the harder difficulties. I've seen that. Get hit more though. A lot more. I wonder what constitutes a worthy getting of a heart. Who the hell? This guy. And that was blocked. It's one of those. Have like a 0.5% chance of not getting hit. Amazing. God damn it. Got a beach. Have some roses. Weed killer, got a weed. Got additional weed. Okay. Or more stats. Oh, we definitely want more stats. That's for sure. Let's get one of these. Cam, you have to know this by now. You're going to be a sea captain, my friend. I don't know how you missed that you're going to be a sea captain. But that's obviously your profession. For my video. It's plain as day. English sea captain. No, not there. Poop. Misplaced that. Water defense. Should try to get more fertilizer to unite those hearts. See camming Diddy. It is only logical. I didn't make you a pirate. There are plenty of pirates out there. Might do a pirate one day, but I thought this guy was appropriate. Finish the book. I already started writing it up. I need to finish the book first. And we will see. Ah, poop, I'm going to have to face this guy without a weapon as well. Ah, annoying. How great is the worm guy? And I don't have enough for the thing as well. Goddamn unfriendly worm. Not cool, unfriendly worm. What can I do? What can you do? Ah, thank you. Should plant a rose there. Make 4. Make a big one. Yep. That gives you 5. And we'll put 4 hearts there. It's annoying that the hearts need fertilizer as well. Sucks. Sucks, game. Laxative. Farms produce more fertilizer. Interesting. Oh, what a poor what a poor season. Terrible. Ah, they gave me a drone. They sucked so much, they gave me a drone. I guess I should have planted a scarecrow, forgot about that. 99, just enough not to upgrade it. The upgrade is 100. But I do like the potato thing, it's fine. La di da di da. Should put that over here. There we go. And we should also do the planty things. Ooh, blood rain. That should help. There we go. All the things. We did not even finish that one. Okay. There's still stuff around here. It's a whole goddamn bugs. Rude bugs. Nah, it doesn't give me anything. That's some fertilizer. It's more important lately. Maybe a tractor there. Whoa. Rude. Ah. Tunneler. Okay. That's about it. Okay, let's see where the pupa thing is. Si, Capitan. I am the captain now. Work on your English accent. Or whatever, don't. It's fine. I could say the same thing for Mystic as well. Just do your voice. It's fine. Just get it over with. It's fine. Finally. Got myself a big heart. Ooh, another egg. Oh god damn it, I shouldn't stay here. There's no reason for me to stay here. Let me just finish the tilting of the frickin' soil here and should be going. Give me... There we go, seeds, that's it, time to go. Ooh. There we go. More stats. Nice. Kitty. Okay. Dum, 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 dum. God damn it, my weapon broke. This guy has the only chance of his weapon not breaking. The biggest chance, and it broke. That's all I can say to that. Speaking in Maniac now. Let Maniac translate that. That's 400. Come on, come on. Rude. Rudy, Rudy, Rudy. Not enough. Oh well. La 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 la. Oh, I think I have that from this moment. La 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 la. Blood ring is nice. I think we still, yep, put that and put this. Enjoy. Take that and go to the south again. Oh, I didn't explore the other side. Okay. Oh, that came right at me. Okay, let's see how we do here. Can get another cow or a pig. Let's get a pig because we have 2 cows. Oh man, so many of them here. Yeah, turrets, water stuff, that's good. Might be deficient in turrets at this moment. Oh Jesus, where did you come from? Let's get some of these. Laser. Laser tag. Can't hit me through that. And we got another tree. And we can get a bean. Okay, I think we kind of cleared stuff up a bit. Kinda. There's the usual assholes. Goddamn gun broke again, man. What's the point of this character? Just to be so awesome. No gun breaking and stuff. These both suck compared to my potato thing. Sucks. And we're going to be facing the dude as well, whatever dude we have this summer. And of course they ruined my stuff here. Yeah. Because I wasn't around, they killed everything. It's not good enough. If I'm not here, one cannon, one of those things is just not good enough. Unfortunately. Oh, go away. Okay, and that. That thing is united. Go away. Let's plant some of the roses as well. That's nice. Go away, go away. I don't know. Some of these things, yes. Assholes. Water stuff. We'll stick around here. We don't have a bridge anyway to go to the next thing. Yeah, and to do this here already. Ah, the alien dude, the alien asshole. He burns stuff. I think I have a, yeah, let's put a watery thing now. Should be able to get that. Oops, daisy. Stop being an asshole, asshole. And I have to contend with these assholes as well. Let's get some of them back. Well, that can't be good. Stuff burns and stuff, okay. He has that thing and he comes back. Then he has his little tantrum with the things. Okay. Don't think I can. Come on. Oh, okay, so I should go so it doesn't destroy my crops and stuff. God damn. Go away. That took some. An asshole. There's still assholes here. Just go away. The dude is gone. Go away. I should just put a tree if I can. I did. Nice. Gun broke again. No luck. The luck. No the luck, I'm afraid. Oh, it's slightly better this season. Kill all nearby roaches. Okay. Harvesting crop unleashes a root soldier, or turrets and drones fire faster. This would be better, but we need to get this guy. We need to marry the Norman fellow. Give us some stats from that. Sriracha. Sriracha. We have a bridge to go to the north. Yes, I should just plant these stuffs. Oh no, I'm just going to plant the random things, it's fine. It's fine. X. And I put a little rain on them. What the hell is that? Something that burned. Burn it with fire. Run out of sriracha. Squirt gun. Rid of that. I ran into that one. This asshole. Just die. Jesus. Hit the whirlies. Have those whirlies. Oh, those are the bugs that die when I'm near them. Okay. They still fire though. Die. Nice. B. Cheers, Ken. I guess you got the... Oh, I can't fire for the thing. Too many things! Assholes. Just die. Killing bunnies. Finally a second turret. They're ruining my crops there, I'm sure. These assholes. And it's a hard place to stay as well. What the hell are those? Some sort of alien cocoons now. Okay, I didn't die. Fine. I'll put another turret. So we suck. We suck. Morph. Yeah. The dailies have a morph. We suck though. Probably going to die. Alright, I forgot the thing. Should we do that down? Lame. Oh, come on, I took away the turret. Beautiful, beautiful moth. These cocoon eggs. Definitely something. They're probably the things that turn into these. Don't get stuck. That was nice they catch on fire. Who doesn't like that? Ugh. I thought soldiers should help. Cool. Married Mr. Normand. Oh, some stats up. Terrible with the hearts. Ah, we're facing autumn. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, that's lions. Not going to make it. Ah, the little roundy thing. Oh well. C'est la vie. Didn't get enough money to upgrade my guns and stuff. Done a lot better. Still, we never beaten tier 8, I don't think. Yeah, tier 7 is my biggest. So I would have to beat tier 7. And I haven't even beaten tier 7. I would have to beat tier 7, year 7, to get to year 8. And that was a year 8 challenge. So yeah. I think it was decent. And we're like the 28th. They're like 2 more hours and we're the 28th. I don't think that many people finished it. I bet the guy on 27 is like the first guy that finished it. Yeah. Looking at that score there. I also didn't have much luck with the guns. The guns have a chance to be fixed. At one point, this guy, that's also something they changed that made it harder to play. This guy always had a gun fixed. Now it's a chance, and it's a very small chance. Because in, what was that? 3 days of spring and 3 days of summer and 2 days of like 10 days or something. No. 3 and 3 and 3 and 2. 8. Not a single gun fix. Maybe 7 because the first one isn't. Yeah. But he is pretty good. He starts off with a turret. That's a bonus. Let's try a year 7. Yeah, sure. Let's try it. Slightly easier. No, that's the random bonus that I had last time that is still here. Let's put the pricklies. I could actually put everything. Because we have a cow. Should be fine. There we go. Just entered. Ah. They're really close to each other here. Whoa, where did you come from? Oh, I didn't mean to enter two of you. Okay. I think that is an achievement for finishing this game with only the pea shooter. Should try to do that. Probably not in this hard difficulty, but yeah, I'm sure it can be done. Okay, we have the pew bomb. Got them birds. Thank you, birds. Crop France. Ah, damn it! I just wanted to see a way to go at home. These assholes. Come on, boo! Give me home, boo! Boo. Can't do anything. Plant some life. Yep, everything was okay here. have some pricklies left. Need to water it. Well, Carl, how about you water it? Jeez. I can do all the things. There we go. And I think it gets... Alright. So they don't need fertilizer to get big now. That's right. Okay. What the hell is going on with this? My menu button thing has been acting up. I mean, I suck at this game enough. I don't need extra hardships. I think we kind of did what we wanted to do. Yeah. God damn. What the hell? Let's just go this way. Find my home. It's like I'm pushing it more than once. We need to put our scarecrow, I'm sure. Whoa, dude. This asshole. This is the guy with bombs. More than one asshole though. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. Here you go, dude. Have a... Green beer. Have the beer. The beer. kind of funny you can surprise those dudes sometimes. Like this sleeping guy. Oh, pow, pow, pow. Sometimes they fire at you, but whoa. Oh, that was meager pickings. What? Anger the Z-birds? Don't want that. Oh, there's one guy left. Oh, that's a lot of dudes. Ah, the guy is coming. I just saw him. Nah. Coming here before you. Nah, 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 nah. God damn it. He's faster than me. And I guess you can outmaneuver him. Now there. Oh, come on. Stay. Jesus. Stop being rude. No. Ah, the gun remained. Couldn't be my other gun. Had to be this one. Well, not bad. Who's that? Guard. Gourd? Still a corner there. Could do stuff with. Hopefully we'll have another heart there. Tractor here. Which is a okay, it's not a bad thing. Sadly, it's no heart. And the golden pupa. Extra tractor slot. Peaches, 2 peaches, and I have 2 dates as well. No hearts, no. Oh no, I did have a heart. I have 4 hearts. Somewhere along that part there was a heart. Okay, didn't see it. It's fine. I'm gonna complain. We also have some roses we can plant. There's that full moon nonsense now, so witches and stuff will come. Hopefully not too terribly hard. Did they even die? Oh, they do die. Okay. Well, at least they die. Oh, but they destroy those. Let's keep our heart alive. Destroyed my tree. Beautiful tree. Rude. Leave my tree alone, Jesus. Damn, this is harsh. Yes, well, at least we got our heart. Lost our second tree as well. Oh goodness. Yeah, lost my... No way, man. No way. This is an upgraded weapon as well. No freaking way. At least I got my goddamn heart. I survived enough to get the goddamn hearts. This insanity. Ah, buddy. Well, no time like the present to put some peach trees. That was harsh. And the gun broke, of course it did. Killing enemies, cut nearby weeds. Sure. Kinda sucks that I got my rose there, my big rose eaten up. Yeah, that's only 100. Could get a scarecrow. Let's put one odd. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Focus. Come on. I want to get hit by the thing. I saw it coming. Ooh, the damage. The damage bonuses. This is one of those guns that slow you down, so you can't dodge that well. Goddamn cat. Can't fire for this thing. Can't even. Vegetation is confusing. Get stuck there. Thank you. Okay, got the cat out of the bag. You know what a cat out of the bag is? It's actually from... It's a nautical term. I had no idea. So apparently it's some sort of a torture device. It's like a whip with some claws, metal claws on it. Not torture, but what would you call it? Punishment? Punishment device? Anyway, they would put it in a bag. And it would be called a cat because it had three of those metal things. And when the cat would be out of the bag, oh buddy. Oh. Oh, it's here. All sorts of useless, but interesting information. And having somebody over a barrel is also from the nautical people. It's again a punishment. Oh, I only had one egg, but at least the gun was safe. Lost some lives, 2 of them. No rosies. Enough to put this. Cool. Thing survived. Let's put that. Let's put our little hearts in. Can put a banana tree here, sure. Let's plant some chili dogs. Ooh. Come on, what are the thing? What are the big thing? I only have that much done. Should get the rewards there. Or like 20 seconds left. See if we can get it. What if we lost it because we killed him just before we came here? Not sure. Oh no, they're still here. Hey, we got the stats. That's nice. Leave my heart alone. And we have enough roses to plant us. Let's plant the roses. Oh, go away. He made me plant one of the roses. Oh, what rude. Man. Dun, 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 dun. Might as well cut some weeds. Okay, let's see how we did. Oh, 0 roses. And do that great. Mildly peckish. Okay. Upgraded, it has a bit of a range, it's fine. Didn't I have a cow? Guess not. Got to run, later. Later, alligator. So. I guess we have a cow that grazes other places. Oh, golden duck or goose or whatever. Something. The hell is that? Banana tree? Okay. A goose, a geese, and something. Aww. A goosen? A geesen? Oh, listen to the cow. Like moosen? Cam was saying something about moosen last year. Last day. Yesterday. Good old moosen. was supposed to say gas? I'm sorry. Failed you. I have failed you. I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you. Come on, button. Jesus. Get some of these. I even forgot I had that. Need to plant the roses. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck. A goose, a gas, and a geese. Nah, okay. Gun broke, of course it did. Days last longer, but I can't afford it. This meh. Don't worry, I'm going to get it the next day. Ooh, I think I got an upgrade. I skipped the 100 upgrade. That's interesting. The heartbeat is 800. Boom. Scarecrows are cheaper. And we have a bridge to go to the north. So one of the punishments in the Royal Navy, that's what I've been written, was to tie a man by his hands and feet and drag him under the hull. And sometimes they would tie him to a barrel, so that's how you would have someone over a barrel. You would scrape the bottom, get cuts from all the barnacles and stuff, and usually die from, the fact they were quite a lot of time under the water there. Ah yes, running someone over with your boat. Close enough. Close enough, sir. And I think I can put this thing and this thing. And this thing. Ooh. Walked right into that one. Ah, here is the upgrade. Okay. Die, asshole, die. Oh, that was just silly. Where is that guy? Where he's comes from my side. The trackable here. Yeah. We can plant another. Yes, gun didn't break. Nice. That's what I want to see. That sucks, but what can you do? Can do that. We will be fighting the guy, right? Put the 4 fangs down. Plant some stuff, put some things. People should enjoy that. We should put the clubs. Put more things, okay. Come on, button. It's fine. Butterfly. Nail these assholes. Oh man. Oh, tractor fellow, I haven't seen you in a while. Used to be annoying as well. You had some wheels that you couldn't really dodge that well. Come on, way too many. There's stuffs to dodge. Yeah, these goddamn wheels. Stop that. What makes you so goddamn strong? Nah, they didn't kill him. Generally survived the thing, didn't kill him. Tough motherfucker. and some roses, but this is not going to do it. Wow. No, I don't know. Don't really see anything else to do. Can't get any life either. Try here and try to survive. I don't know. Yes. There's like no getting close to my crops. There's too many things. This weapon sucks. Can't clear them out fast enough. Can't get any more health. We did. Married this guy, but we're dead. Nethereads. The hell? Oh, those things are not to do. Doesn't fly through that. Oh man. Oh man. It takes forever to kill one of these dudes. I'm going to make it, man. It's goddamn red stuff so we don't see them. Assholes. Oh, come on. Why wasn't my shot going through that thing? Rude. Rude, I say. Yes, that's about it. And that's it for me. Thank you for stopping by, watching my derpy stream. Bye bye.